Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This was a very important parasha for me when I was thinking of the past and everything we've been through. And I remembered all the places in the Torah where it said that those who were disobedient would be put outside the community. They would be put outside from where the tribes were. And that always led to death. You know, if we didn't keep this, we didn't keep that, we would be expelled from the community. And we saw firsthand what happened when people were isolated during the last pandemic that we went through. Isolation is very harmful to people, and people are still suffering from it in many ways. For me, I look forward every week to seeing what God has to say to us, to sharing it with people from different parts of the world, to hearing what Mauricio has to say in El Salvador, Sarai, is now in Texas. We have people who are not here. Even Angel is near Hawkesbury, and Richard is in California. So, and yet we're able to come together as a community and to share the things that we're learning from it. And it's true when I said every week someone asks me, what community are you? What branch of Judaism are you? And I stumble every single time because we're not defined by religions and their names. We're defined by who our God is. And nobody asked the early Israelites who they were. They saw what God had done, but people today have forgotten what our God is doing. We're so caught up in world politics and the world religions, and we forget that God is behind all of it. That's why sometimes it's a waste of time to say I'm a liberal or a conservative, I'm a Republican or a Democrat. Honestly, you think God cares? He's laughing. He wants us to follow him, not a bunch of rules that man makes. You know, we're coming up to Pesach very soon, and people are already in my community starting to sweat, taking out their extra dishes and taking out, cleaning out their entire house. I don't know the last time they had bread in bed, but unless you have yeast and all over your house, I mean, it's a good excuse for spring cleaning. But really, God wants us to clean the chametz from our hearts. He wants us to do a search of our souls and see how we can make it right to our fellow man. He's in the business of rebuilding our lives. And he uses community to do that. Because when we face each other, when we are in a relationship with each other, that's when our shtick, our stuff comes out and that we have to deal with. And if we did something wrong, we have to make it right. So it was a beautiful message. I hope you enjoyed it.
Very much.
Thank you, Miriam.
Starting with the Shabbat, I remember for years, I didn't really understand what it meant, keep the Shabbat holy and a day of rest, blah, blah, blah. I sort of intellectually, but I didn't really, until when you just read it and what you're talking about, it's a sign of the very existence of God.
Right.
Never mind you can go more into detail about not working and salary, blah, 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 but it's beyond that. And that's when I started to understand it and could relate to it because it's so awesome. It's a sign that God exists and he created the world and he created us. If you stopped it, that's awesome. That's when it began to mean something because it could be something very legalistically observed,
and it didn't happen here in the book of Exodus.
Exactly.
It happened in the first chapter of Genesis, long before there were Jews. Most people don't get that. It was a sign
because they
back
say
then.
that you're not Jewish, you don't have to keep the Shabbat.
Right.
That's such a falsehood.
Totally. It's like you can have you can keep your God and we keep ours, as if ours isn't the only one.
But it's funny that when you even say a thing like that, it's like here we're supposed to be supremely monotheistic, and we're basically endorsing other gods. You have your
Exactly.
own God, and we have our God.
Exactly. We don't even hear what we say or what we do. Yes,
And
Angel.
also, I liked what
Oh,
you
yeah,
said.
sorry.
But
Can I just finish?
Sorry,
Sorry.
I didn't know you had
Just-
more.
Just one more second. Sorry. What you said about that God doesn't want to destroy us, like when we committed the idolatry and sin of the golden calf, then dealing with building the temple, and it was like, it's not that God, he said, now I don't want to destroy you, but now all these riches and beautiful things that went into the temple, and also it's like we have to move on with our own lives. Like I was talking to you about something I have very difficult time forgiving myself for, and we have to move on, but there are consequences, and we recognize it, and we want to change our lives, and then we move on in our relationship with God. It's a
Right.
journey, and you really described that well. So, thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
So,
yes, I wanted to talk about the kahal, meaning the people. Okay, we have a concept, like as you say, you were saying, Miriam, about. By the way, happy birthday! I think it was yesterday. You been.
Oh, Miriam, happy
Happy birthday.
birthday to you. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Happy birthday, dear
Birthday.
Miriam. Happy
Happy
birthday.
Happy
birthday
birthday.
to you.
Thank you,
Que los
Angel.
cumplas feliz. Que los cumplas feliz. Feliz cumpleaños, Miriam. Un
gracias,
abrazo.
gracias.
So, coming
Yeah,
back what you
thank
were
you.
saying, Miriam, about
Pardon me?
the
Feliz cumpleaños, Miriam.
Gracias, gracias.
I love you.
Gracias, I love you too.
what you were
Gracias.
saying, Miriam, before about the manifestation of God, right?
Mhm.
When we understand the idea, what it means to gather, meeting, community, assembly, it's the idea is to come in all back, coming back as one. Gathering is the action of becoming one people, one. When we gather and we try to communicate, we are all together in it. So that is what the important, the meaning of what God really is. God is unity. God is one. God is a oneness. It's not division. It's not separation. It's not, oh, I am from this from this congregation of Hasidic, and I'm from this one that is more liberal. No, there is no separation. There is unity. And when we understand the kahal of God, of the Creator, that is it, the meaning. It's not like the Christians, Christian church, name it, translated as church, which is not a properly word to translate, because in the Greek, we know that the kahal, the Hebrew word kahal, was translated into ecclesia. So that's the origin of my name, my family name, which is Iglesias, which is ecclesia. It comes from the Greek ecclesia.
You're going to have to change your name to Malach Kahal.
Yeah. So it's the gathering. It's the action. This action that becoming real. It's when we all come together, and is there the manifestation of God. That's what some of the they have some rules in Judaism where they have to gather, they have a number, a minimum number. I don't know much about Judaism traditions, but I mean about this tradition, but I know that they have the understanding that when there is gathering, more than a certain number, you feel the presence, that the Creator is more unified. It's because each one of us, we have this spark, this spirit that the God has put on us, that it's part of the Creator. And when we gather together, everything is starting to to harmonize, all together, and you know what happens if you know about wavelengths. When you have different wavelengths and all they are at the same time harmonizing, it creates, if you are opposite, you will create a destructive, so it will cancel each other. But if you are all together, it increases, it amplifies, so it
Yes.
becomes bigger, there's more present, more.
Yes. Mauricio, you have something you'd like to add?
It's interesting that how for God Israel was just one, okay,
Yeah.
and then in the history, because of the desire of the persons to shine, or to say I am here, I am more than you, then they start to separate.
The
Okay,
Korach.
yeah, the spirit of Korach in many persons. And then the point is to be powerful, because Maslow said very well, okay, the humans first, they need to have physical needs, then they need something else, because you can feel them, then you can give a shelter, you can dress them, but after they need to have something else, which is power.
Mm.
In the power, or to feel better, or to have a position, to it's more dangerous, because that is the heart of the persons. Okay, so and I can see how many people, when they were poor, for example, they always say hello, they have good manners, and they smile, they thank for the food, etc. After the stomach is full, okay, let's say, so they change completely. And you ask why? When they were poor, they pray to God, oh God, when I have money, I will do this, and for the good sake of humanity and be better person, etc. But for that, the real the prophet said, oh, cursed be the man who trusts in the man. And that is not about your neighbor, it's about you. Okay. Sometimes we trust in ourselves. Okay. So much that, oh, I can handle this situation or that situation. And at the end, people start to do what they said I will never do. So, um, so I am agree with Angel. God is one, okay, and He wants us to be one. But the point is, when all are one, then we need to respect the other persons. We need to love. We need to carry all the needs. And more and more, we need to learn about the Torah, because that give us unity. Okay, that is the clue. Okay, so and I'm agree with Angel about when he said about the ecclesia, which is that is really a meaning Greek word. Okay, even synagogue is a Greek word. Okay, so uh, and it's very sad, because they put labels to their own churches, and label to their own synagogues, and instead to be one, we rather to be a lot of a lot of groups. Okay, probably that's why thinking in the future, God said, once a year you will go to the temple to present offerings, okay? And that is probably to remember that we are one. Yeah, probably we live there, I don't know, kilometers far away, but we are still one. That is to make the idea. And when there is the divisions, then there is weakness. And with the weakness comes that problems and troubles. So that's why when Israel is attacked, they become one and they become stronger. Then when they are in peace, so they start to divide and they are weak. So that is just an idea.
So if people ask you, I don't know if they do you go to a church or do you go to a congregation? Do you ever answer what type of congregation you belong to?
Well, people sometimes ask me if I'm a Christian, and I said, no, I'm not. And people sometimes for example, right now, people is at Quaresma. You know what is Quaresma? Quaresma is a meaning of 40 days that Catholics is like a fast. They don't eat any meat during this period of time.
Oh, it's like Lent. Lent, I think they call it.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
how to say that in English, but during 40 days they are forbidden to eat meat.
Okay.
Because supposedly if you eat meat, then you are eating like Christ. Okay, so
Oh,
something like,
God.
okay, so uh in that is something that they call Wednesday, cross Wednesday, something like that. They put a cross here
Oh,
with
wow.
Ash Wednesday, I think.
Ash
isn't it?
Wednesday, yeah. Yeah, it's Lent and Ash Wednesday. And
um,
Ramadan is also what the Islam does for 40 days, isn't it? 40 days?
I'm not sure,
I'm not sure either.
but during I right now they are in Ramadan, and also they don't eat nothing, right, during the day.
Yeah.
But so people, I am the only one in the company who doesn't have any cross during
Really?
Ash. So and you know, all the sites are just to me, but they never ask me really what are you believing, or
Yeah.
and you know, I comment, and sometimes I I share my screen during some meets, and then is my WhatsApp web, and they can see sometimes some messages from some rabbis and things like that. And nobody, I don't know if they probably know, but yeah, the closest to me they know, because when we used to go uh, in the pickup to the port or to some fields, uh, they heard the message of the rabbi. Okay, so they know, but yeah, you know, it's like today. And today we were talking about that with Evelyn. People is more focused on them. Then right now I can tell you, people is not today. They don't ask, how do you feel? How are you? Uh,
Yeah.
did you take a bath? I don't know, things that that people is just thinking about their comfort. People is about their selfishness, about if I feel good,
Yeah.
and they don't care the next person to them.
Yeah.
It's like the world doesn't exist around them.
Yeah.
They are focused on them. And this is completely following the idea, is completely opposite to the idea of God.
Right.
God tells you, well, you have to take care of your neighbor, of your brother. And as Rabbi Yeshua said, oh, and who is my brother? Right? Everyone who can you make good, that is your brother. So that's probably they don't ask too much about religion. Right now also in El Salvador, and that's something that also happened when peace comes to some places, and I saw that in my life, then people start to forget about God.
Mm.
The very same idea about Israel and Egypt, when they were slaves and they were punished and they were, they have a lot of work. They cling to God. They remember God.
Mhm.
Okay. But when they don't have that burden, okay, over them, they forgot God.
Right.
It's a story of the humanity, sadly. I can tell you during the 80s, during the war, the churches were very filled in El Salvador. So no matter if they were Catholic or they were Protestants, the churches were filled by many people. That means not going to a church is like looking for God, to to read the Bible. You can so many people with the Bibles in their hands. In after the war, people start forgetting God. Then comes the gangsters, and people start return back to the churches.
Hmm.
And now that we are after COVID, that 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 no more than we have like 800, thanks God, 890 days without assassinations.
Wow.
That is something that made people forget God.
Hmm.
So go to the same, to the same streets, and you can see the parking lots empties
Wow.
for church.
Hmm.
Okay. And why is that? Because people usually look for God after there is a disaster. And that is something that we can see also in Israel. In Israel, it's incredible because I received some message from different groups, and it's something like, wow, everybody is celebrating, people praying to God, because uh, they are asking to God to release the hostages, or they are eh, begging to God, or give us shelter during the attacks. So Israel is closer. They are looking for spirituality. But prior October 7th, people were at the desert in a party, okay, on Shabbat, on Simchat Torah. Okay, so that is something that you start to say, oh, that is just a thermometer to say it's not about judging, it's about looking facts. Okay, that is obviously people were doing their own things. Okay, and then after October 7th, many people return back to God because of fear, or because they need some consolations. I don't know. Everyone has their own motive,
Right.
okay, to turn, but you know, that's sometimes my prayer to God. Oh God, don't let me forget you,
Right.
because it's very easy to for me at least. I'm a person who is very fast. For example, right now we were at the service, and then I start to hear a bird just in a branch just on my left, and I start to look and try to find out where he was, and I was in the but I distracted very easy. So it's something in my nature, and and I fighting with that. But in spiritually is the very same. Okay, it, and I can live daily. There are a lot of job and many pressures and many questions from people and many demanding, different things, knowledge. Uh, they are requesting you information, whatever. Okay, so they try to make you bricks. That is what I call make bricks. Okay,
Hmm.
you are doing a lot of job, but there is no sense to do it. Okay,
Right.
no purpose. Okay, ultimate purpose. But you are doing bricks, and they give you, and more bricks you do, more bricks they request, they demand you to do. Okay,
Hmm.
so that's it. And then you at the end of the day, you try to rest, and then comes the distractions.
Hmm.
And, and at the end, sometimes I just start to think, oh, uh, let's see my day. I was very busy, but I didn't have time to pray to God. I didn't have time to read only a verse probably, or to 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 meditate just 5 minutes, to take a breath, deep breath, and try to look how beautiful is what God has created for me.
Mm.
And that is because you are busy, busy, busy. In this very same problem that I have, probably many of us have the same problem. Okay, I'm not the only one, probably. So if you imagine that for the whole Israel, everyone is thinking and making bricks and distractions and all of this,
Yeah.
then when they come together, that is a mess. Okay, and they start to fight. They start to say, "Oh, I have the reason," and, and so it sometimes is very hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes I said it's easier to deal with machines, with plants, than with persons. Okay.
That's for sure. But he has a way of communicating with us, and he has a way, just like telling us to build the Mishkan, of getting us to redirect our attention. And if we really stop to look in between our busyness, we'll see him. We'll see the signs in our lives. It's like I was telling Miriam a story last week or 2 weeks ago about something that happened with my car. My car, I needed to. Yes, Jerry. Richard, go ahead.
Please continue. I'll speak after you finish your thought.
All right.
You left off at car.
Yes. Well, my the rear handle of my car broke, and I needed to have it fixed. So I called the dealership, and he said he'd get back to me. But I kind of let it go. And then last Sunday, when I went to sing at Maimonides, or 2 weeks before, my there was a light that came on in the engine, and when I was driving out of my garage, my car started to shake as if it would conk out. When I got to the light, it conked out on me. It just stopped, And I was saying, please, God, just help me help me. I have to go. And they have no one to replace me. And I'm right here in the middle of the street. So I started the car and I went and I didn't stop until I got there. And I figured that I could call the insurance that I have. I have a warranty that I paid for on my car. And the warranty covers towing if I need it. So, but when I got out of the after singing, it started again and I brought it home. So I contacted the dealership of my car and they said to me, your warranty is expired. And I said, what do you mean it's expired? I've been paying every month. And they said, no, there's something wrong. So I looked into it and I remembered that I had been caught in a credit card fraud. So I had to cancel my credit card and the warranty was paid from my credit card. But like you said, Mauricio, everybody is selfish. They don't go out of their way. The company, so when I spoke to the company, they said, well, we would have sent you an email, but we didn't have your email address because they didn't send it to us where I bought my car. But I know that if I were working and I saw this with one of my clients, I would have called and made sure that they had the email address. They just let it go. So for 5 months, I had no coverage on my car and I didn't know. But and the next day, I brought it to my garage and he checked everything and he said, there's nothing wrong with your car. We drove it. I haven't had a problem with it since then. But that to me, but I told the company what had happened and I wanted to have them reinstate it and I'll just pay all those months because I didn't do it on purpose. It was their fault. So they finally, after praying, begging God to help me, so they reinstated my warranty. But if that light, that sign in my car did not go on, I wouldn't have known this. And if something really serious down the road happened, I would have no coverage. So to me, this was a sign that God was with me. I believe that because I know how God works in my life and I know how he gives us signs. But and other people that I told, oh, it was just a coincidence. Like they didn't see God in it. I see God in my life in so many of the things that I do. And I'm so grateful to him. So that's the little miracle that I had with my car. Yes, Richard, what did you want to say?
Yeah. After I speak, I'd like to hear you talk about the door handle thing. I'm not making the connection between handle in the back and
Okay.
the engine light. But
Okay.
okay. So this parsha talks about working 6 days and resting on the 7th.
Right.
I once read as a commandment, okay, and I think that's appropriate. I'm not putting it down, okay? I once read this essay by someone who talked about 12-step programs. I'm involved in 12-step programs,
Right.
the ones that came out of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
Okay. And their steps are written after the fact. So they say, we did this, we did that. Okay. So this author, this essay writer, he said, wouldn't history have been interesting and different if what we call the 10 Commandments would have been written like the 12 steps, such that instead of you shall keep the Sabbath, it says something like, we kept the Sabbath, we worked for 6 days and rested on the 7th, and in effect, we're better off for it. So are you following me? If not,
I think so. But you want to go on and So you
No,
think the way that God told us what to do should have been, because
okay,
we didn't write the commandments.
we needed to be instructed. Okay, I
Right.
mean, I admit that we were suffering. I we were in the Stone Age, what we call the Stone Age now. Okay, looking back, we modern people, we call that the Stone Age, but they didn't call it that in those days. Okay, so we could look at them as somewhat backwards and needed directions, but we are just like them. We're no better than them. I
But
read and I believe.
first of all, I disagree with the age of Egypt as being the Stone Age. It was far more advanced than the Stone Age.
But that's true. But what we're okay, some I heard it was I okay, I get that. Coming, that's important to say too, Peggy, because at this time, Mitzrayim had 1,000 year civilization. So that's not
Right.
insignificant.
And I
Can I
believe
just
those who created the different ages, the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, all these different ages are going by the Darwin, idea of different ages. And we come from the monkeys, and
okay, okay, well that's a
it's not
fair
Torah.
okay, well that is a fair statement too. Same thing with the same thing with what we call the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages. That's a label that's put back from people after that. And
That was done actually by religions who outlawed things that would
okay, well, yeah, okay, hey, I'm sorry. Maybe Stone Age is the wrong way to say it. The maybe the Metal Age is better to say, when people were able to do metalworking.
okay.
Okay. So, okay, we can talk about why the Middle Ages are called the Middle Ages some other time.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay,
I'm
but
trying to understand your point here,
okay,
Richard.
am I
You're talking, you back to the
okay?
12-step program. You want us,
I'm just saying that it would be have been interesting. I'll just say interesting if the Ten Commandments were written as people who were talking about their experience and about how they healed or got better from their experience, um, who were expressed in a, call it, positive way. I know that some people say that there's 5 of the 10 commandments, there's 5 positive ones and 5 negative ones. Okay. If I'm not clear, I'll just have to practice my um, what I'm saying, and I'll bring it back next year.
well, there's another way of looking at also instead of 5 negative and 5 positive, and it's the way that our rabbi explained it, whereas they were divided into three sections. One were the first 3 being the mitzvot, which were our relationship with the Creator. The second 2, the middle 2, the Shabbat and the honoring of the parents were the chukim, the ordinances which we just obey. We don't necessarily have to understand because they may have a spiritual application that are too difficult for us to understand as humans. And the last 5 are about how we are to treat our neighbor. And whether it's written in a positive or a negative way, it's really, this is how you treat your neighbor. And when Yeshua was asked to summarize, he took those 3 types, the mitzvot, the chukim, and the mishpatim, and he said, you are to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your resources, which cover the first 3. And then love your neighbor, which cover the last 5, as yourself, which cover the middle 2. So that was and love your neighbor as yourself and love God with all your heart, soul, and might. And that to me is a better way of looking at those 5, not that some are negative and some are positive. They're all positive if you look at loving God and loving your neighbor as yourself. That's how I see it.
Okay, I stand a bit corrected. I just looked up how the word Stone Age was coined. Okay, and it
Okay.
was coined in the late 19th century. So it's relatively a new
Right.
term.
Right.
Okay, but
And when was
so
Darwin? When was Darwin's philosophy popular?
Darwin's philosophy, his philosophy was in the mid 19th century.
Mhm.
Okay, but I think we're in those days there was a lot of scientific reasoning about human beings. I mean, I won't go there now. Rather, I'm just saying that some people might say that our ancestors who came out of Egypt and who had just done the sin of the golden calf were less competent than we were. All right.
Competent?
Competent.
But
Okay.
it was those.
Competent is so okay. They did not have they had some ways to go in cultivating and developing. Okay. And it takes a long time to do that. I think I've taught enough. I did learn that I didn't present myself as clearly as I thought I would have. And next year I'll have a better pitch if I still believe that which I just said. So I will now mute myself.
All right.
I'm just going to try and comment on this. I'm not sure you're developing something, Richard. I'm not sure, but I don't know if this is going to me, the 10 Commandments are beyond time. It has nothing to do with where we are in our, let's say, moral development, our civilization, etc. It was God's blueprint, moral blueprint for the world, which is timeless, and it was given from a God that is beyond and outside of time, who even created time. So the 10 Commandments have nothing to do with whether or not we've progressed, or more civilized, less civilized. So and I don't know if that's relevant or to what you're saying, Richard, but I think they are a blueprint on how to, like, it's a moral code that we were given that is an absolute. It's beyond, we can't say, well, it's relative. We're living in a different time and things have changed. There are certain things I believe in the Torah that have changed. We don't have slaves in the same way. Women are different. As Rabbi Percy had said, women are elevated in the Torah, but it takes time and it's a process. But the 10 Commandments are absolute and have nothing to do with where we are in history. It's beyond time. Anyway, that's my take. I don't know if that's relevant to what you're saying.
I didn't speak the right thing, so I stand corrected.
All
But
right.
was what I'm saying relevant at all to what you're trying to say, or no?
Yeah, you came back. You gave a good retort. So
Okay.
thank
You're welcome.
If I may add some to what you say, Miriam, I read someone who I really like to read about, that he explains clearly what is the concept of the 10 Commandments. And if you want to hear it, I will let you. I will explain to you what exactly, how he explained all that. Okay, the 10 Commandments are universal principles that should be followed by all people. These laws were not just rules for one particular religion, but moral guidelines meant to transcend religious boundaries. The main idea behind this interpretation was that these commandments are vital to maintain peace, unity, and spiritual growth on earth. And now these are some of the points that he mentioned about it. First of all, he said, like key points. Number one is that it's universal truth. The Ten Commandments as a universal code of conduct that transcends any one culture, nation, or religion, and he said that behind these commandments could be applied to all people, no matter their background, because they were aligned to a higher moral and spiritual laws that govern the universe. Now, also, he explained that these 10 commandments were given to humanity to help elevate human consciousness and bring about greater spiritual harmony. And by adhering to these commandments will help to prevent conflict and foster a deep connection between humans and the divine. Now, also he talks about that, like many religious leaders also said that the essence of the commandments was not in rigidly following laws, but in practicing love, compassion, and respect for others. He also reportedly pointed out that they were a way to help humans live more peacefully with one another and to create a more harmonious society. Also, the teachings included a focus on moral and ethical responsibility, echoing the commandments' prohibitions against killing, stealing, lying, and committing adultery. Also, he stressed that following these laws will promote a sense of personal integrity and societal responsibility, which will be crucial for the advancement of humanity.
Can I ask you who this person you're quoting is?
He has has been known. He has made himself by many names. Okay, he has one, but he has been many names.
Who is he?
And it's someone who is a teacher. Well, what can I say? It's someone that has been in the United States and all over the planet. Many different.
Okay. What's his name?
Well, his name is Val. It's Val Thor.
Thor?
Yeah.
Does he keep the Shabbat?
It's okay. It doesn't talk about the Shabbat right now. In what I just look.
I didn't hear his name. What's his name?
Val
Thor.
Val Thor. Because a lot of people will say they keep the commandments, but they've changed the commandments. You know.
But what he's trying to teach basically, it's about to bring the essence, okay? Trying to make us see from another point of view other than religious,
right,
rigid and
right, which is good.
But more like to understand that as everything is given and for us for a purpose of learning, there is a purpose of growth, and there is a purpose of learning, acquiring wisdom.
But the reason I'm asking, Angel, is because I've been in many groups and ideologies.
Yeah.
And remember, I'm almost double your age.
Yes.
So I've been through a lot. And one of the things that I've seen is like people say you shall not kill. So that's a reason that they become pacifists and will not even defend, take, they say, well, Israel is wrong because they're constantly at war. God is not telling us do not kill. It says do not commit premeditated murder. That's a very different concept. So that's why I want to know who is speaking. There's half-truths in everything. And some sound really good, but is it what God is saying? That's what we have to watch out for. Anyway, so I'll look him up and see, what.
But well, I mean, it's known in the well, you will he's a special person who once that you understand when he comes, if you open your can I say your your mind
I open my mind to a lot of things, let me tell you. I open my mind to plenty.
Yeah.
And I don't open my mind to so much anymore.
Yeah, but
is he Val Thor, a name he chose? Because Thor is a Greek god,
yeah.
So, or a Roman god, Thor, the god
Sorry,
of war.
what's his name again?
Thor, Val Thor.
That's not obvious as his real name. He's
Yeah, what's
taken
his
that
real
name.
name?
Yeah, no, he had many names because of the security of
Yeah.
because
Here's
he
What
had
did you
to
say,
protect
Richard?
him and his
that's
family.
okay. I interrupted.
But basically, yeah, it speaks always trying to embody, wisdom and understanding in all aspects of life.
Right.
And he talks when he talked about specifically the commandments, he gave this explanation.
Good. That's great.
And this was to he has talking to many people in the U.S. government. I'm talking about military government, and he talked also in many other places.
Okay, good.
But it's a very special person.
Yes, good.
Anyway, I never met him. I just learn, and I follow his wisdom, and I follow his I investigate.
Okay, good.
And
That's
and
important.
I like to find truth and and
you will.
and
Yeah, you will. Yes, Richard.
Yeah. Here's a quick joke. About the name of Val Thor. What does he state on his tax returns?
Yeah, that would be a good one to know.
Yeah, okay. And so I like what I just heard. Is that Angel?
Angel, yes.
Yeah, okay. So there's lots of places that we can find spins on the Ten Commandments and some unspoken things that hadn't been spoken before. So that's fine with me. Okay.
Yeah, we need to look at everything.
Exactly.
Just be wise.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Darwinism a bit, and okay, and about how Mauricio brought up Abraham Maslow. Maslow was also a eugenicist. He believed in kind of weeding out the crowd in a way. Okay, in eugenics, does everyone know
Richard,
what I'm
are
talking
you
about?
sure? Maslow?
Yeah, he would. Okay,
I think you better. I better check it, but I know a little bit about him, and
okay,
I can't imagine that.
It's not well known. I'll tell you what. You send me your email. I'll put my email in the chat, and I'll come back to you with a source. Okay.
No, it's okay.
I should say
surprised
that. Okay. I should say that there were also people at the time of Maslow who were skeptical about eugenics. Okay, who did not see it that way. For example,
it says here, Abraham Maslow also believed humans could evolve through peak experience attained by psychedelics or other means, and he privately expressed support for negative eugenics and even euthanasia to raise the genetic quality of the species.
Really? Wow.
Okay, so you don't have, okay, so I mean,
Off with his
that,
head now.
okay, so that, okay, come in those days, it was a common idea, spoken or not. Can this country in the United States had existed, spoken or not? So at the same time, how do we get into Darwinism?
I don't have no idea.
Yeah,
But
we talked about, okay, well, so we can, every thinker has some positive ideas that withstand the test of time, and some ideas that he or she has that don't stand the test of time, or
right.
get criticized after the fact, not necessarily during the time that this or that thinker is alive. Okay, so
one of the things we heard from our rabbi and from Rav Shaul was search in everything, read everything, study everything, keep what's good, spit out what isn't. Anyway, I want to call an end to this service. I want to thank everybody for your participation. Let us continue to grow as a community, to read his word every single day, live his commandments, to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. So I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
and let's continue to pray for each other.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Thank you,
Shalom.
Angel.
bye.
Bye.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
Richard. God bless you
Hello,
all.
everyone.
Bye, Annette.
Bye,
Bye.
Annette and
Bye.
Angel. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.